I play games basically almost every day. I try to. Even though I get really busy when I'm at work, I go on turntable. You know, we listen to game music all day. That's all we really do while we're working. So even when I'm doing something else like graphic design, I still am thinking sort of about video games all day. When I get on the train, sometimes I also play games, and then sometimes if I'm not doing freelance work at home, then I will um, turn on my Xbox or even my handheld thing that I bought so I could emulate games. It's definitely influenced me a lot because I don't know what kind of person I would be if I hadn't played games for my entire life.
The first time I ever played a video game was a Super NES, Super Nintendo. It was at a sleepover of my sister's friends. While all the other girls had partaken in the normal sleepover events, pillow fights, doing each other's hair, your nails, the makeup, the dress up, I'd never really cared so much for it. So for most of the day, I ended up playing her NES. She had Super Mario Brothers. It was the first time I ever played it. I'd never gotten a chance to play a video game before. So when I started playing it, I was like, oh God, this is amazing.
My dad got me a Atari, and he got me a computer and a game console. So I kind of started playing games at the same time as I started getting programming magazines and typing, just typing. I didn't know even what I was typing, but I was a kid, and my dad would give me the magazine and put me to work. Just type stuff. And I was like very obsessed with Pac-Man, like to a ridiculous degree. And in fact, if you look on my Google Plus profile, one of the first pictures of me is that I have is me hugging Pac-Man because I actually saw a Pac-Man person, in the stuffed furry suits they do, and he was in the stuffed up furry suit, and I ran screaming like Pac-Man. And actually, I came to later find out reading Casual Revolution that it was the first game targeted at women. So, or not targeted at women, but that had a surprisingly high number of female players. They were shocked by the success of it with women because before Pac-Man, they had no sense that like a game would actually be fun for a female audience. They didn't think women would be into video games at all.
In this day and age, I think to be a gamer means that you spend an exceptional amount of time playing video games, at least dedicating 4 to 6, maybe even 8 hours a day, if not more.
Well, when I think of the word gamer, I sort of start thinking of, I guess, like the COD people, the people who play with the mics and they play on the Xboxes all day and they're all loud and angry and possibly very douchebaggy.
My definition of a gamer, I think, is really not most people's definition of gamer. I think anyone who breathes oxygen is by nature a gamer because the first thing we do when we're children is play. And I think that gameplay is a vital amount of the experiences you have as a kid. Like play and games are what makes you who you are. So I think everyone is a gamer. Gameplay is so interwoven in human history. There's a lot of proof that we may not have made it had we not evolved games and not learned how to play like in the way that we do.
A girl gamer, simply enough put, is a girl who plays video games, a female of any age who enjoys playing video games.
My opinion on girl gamer, the word or the phrase rather, is that it's basically just an extra. It's like it's an addition onto the word gamer. It's just like you add girl. I think it's kind of silly because you don't really say boy gamer, so it's like why is it necessary? When you meet a girl who plays video games, she just does it because it's fun, and that's basically all there is to it. I do have to say that usually women who play video games are a lot friendlier.
If a guy loses to a girl, then his badge of honor has been torn off. He can no longer call himself a guy. It's very demasculating, I guess. It's been male dominated for so long that even to this day, with the emergence of girl gamers, they still feel that, you know, if you're beaten by a girl, then you're a wussy.
Or I don't think guys should be pissed off because maybe they're not as skilled as this girl who's been playing for like 2 years or something, you know? I mean, there's, you know, people just, this what happens when you play a game for a long time, or maybe there's a part of their brain that's amazingly, you know, it just clicks when it does things or something, you know, like it just understands things much faster than you, and you can't really help that. So you can't just be pissed off at someone because they have a vagina.
When you play a game, all bets are off. Everybody wants to win, right? And it's proven if you play a game with someone, you actually like them more. And even if they beat you and they beat you badly, you feel more comfortable with them, you know, and you trust them more. So actually, I think men should enjoy beating women and being beaten by them. I think it's a fun thing. If anything, it just fuels the fire.
When girls in video games are dressed scantily and they're running about killing people, I'm not so much looking at the fact that she's wearing a short skirt, because the guy alternate to her is he's topless, so at least she's not topless, you know? But it sells. That's what it really comes down to. If she wasn't running around wearing close to nothing, would it really sell as many copies? Because sex sells, and that's something you just have to get over.
There are lots of games that have been successful with chicks who are just slightly quirky, as they like to call it. That's like the it word right now. But it's true. I mean, a girl with personality is probably going to be more attractive to a guy in real life or in a video game than a chick who's wearing almost nothing. And if she's wearing almost nothing and she's quirky, that's just a plus.
There's some video games, particularly indie games, that really call that to the forefront. There are other games that just make me really enraged. I look at them, particularly some of the sexploitation games, or some of the first-person shooter games where it's very obvious, like, you know, first-person shooter game and you walk into a bar and you have to kill 5 hookers. It's incredibly depressing, you know? And I think that's what's really interesting is that you see that happen, and now that games are starting to get talked about in a critical discourse, that's kind of the, like, silent thing that you don't want to mention in the room. It's a real problem. Because games, I don't think, can be considered high art if they've got those kinds of flaws. I know that a piece of art in the art world, if it had that kind of flaw, would immediately be pointed out that it had that kind of flaw. He's kind of awesome. He falls really quick, but he's really way too low down.
Oh, that's really huge.
Oh, you know what? He's got... I think that the worst experiences actually come after they've probably happened. You don't really realize at the time they're going on. But it's things like you work on a project that wins a giant award and you're listed 2 ranks lower in the awards list than you were in the team. Just stuff like that, really, it does come back to haunt you when you see it. Kind of the last job I interviewed for, it came down to me and a guy, and the head of the company just pulled me aside. He admitted, he's like, you can't, you know, I can't say this publicly, but the head of marketing said she, and this is what I thought was interesting, is it was a woman, she felt more comfortable with a man being the client-facing creative. And I was just like, wow. He's like, yeah, he's like, you're more skilled than he is and you have more experience, but she feels more comfortable with the guy being the facing person for this client. I was just like, wow. Darn it.
Okay. Double T. Oh God. Yeah. I was too.
It's more fun when they're more evil guys, right?
The term girl gamer has played its part. It's past its prime. We don't need it anymore. When it first started happening, and you would see maybe 1 or 2 girls in the arcade, and you would go, oh my God, what are they doing here? It must only be they're with their boyfriends. And then you see them play, and you go, oh my God, she's a girl gamer. When it first started happening, it was strictly to let you know, okay, this is someone you've never dealt with before. It's a female playing a video game. But because nowadays it's happened so often, you don't even give it a second look. You don't think about it. So to simply say, oh, she's a girl gamer, you go, okay. It's past its due. We don't need it anymore.